Have you ever pictured someone from a forgotten corner of the world silencing a room packed with billionaires? What happens when a 35-year-old president storms into a summit of the planet's richest, most powerful people and flips their entire worldview upside down? Today, I'm diving into the electrifying story of Ibrahim Traoré, a man who walked into Riyadh and left with a vision that shook the globe. You're about to uncover 3 secrets that didn't just redefine Africa's place in the world, but could light a fire under your own dreams. But first, let's get real. Would you have the courage to stand up for what you believe in, even if every tycoon in the room's laughing in your face? Let's kick off this epic journey right now. In just a few minutes, you'll find out why a single piece of paper in Traoré's hand turned a room of skeptics into believers and left the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia staring in awe. Now close your eyes for a second and picture this. You're standing in the heart of the King Abdulaziz Conference Center in Riyadh, where power, money, and ambition collide like a perfect storm. The marble floors shimmer like mirrors, catching the fiery desert sun streaming through massive glass walls. Outside, skyscrapers stab the sky, screaming, "This is where the future gets built." The Global Investment Summit, hosted by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, isn't just a conference. It's a gladiator arena where billionaires and world leaders slug it out for a single nod from him. The air's so thick with tension you can feel it on your skin like you're in a Hollywood thriller. CEOs from Silicon Valley swagger to the podium flashing AI projects with price tags so massive they'd make your head spin. Oil barons from Dubai unveil green energy plans worth tens of billions, their voices thundering with unshakable confidence, like they're rewriting the laws of the universe. Leaders from Japan pitch smart cities where self-driving cars weave through streets and robots handle daily life, leaving the crowd buzzing with whispers, gasps, and wide-eyed wonder. They're all clawing for a piece of Saudi Arabia's mind-blowing $2 trillion public investment fund, a mountain of cash so huge it could reshape a continent from the ground up. Crown Prince Mohammed sits front and center, his gaze sharp as a razor, every twitch of his face watched like he's holding the keys to eternity. One nod from him can launch empires into the stratosphere. One shake of his head can bury dreams in the sand. Now imagine you're a delegate in this room, your pulse hammering in your chest, feeling the weight of every fleeting second. The people around you, billionaires, the sharpest minds on earth, are scheming, scribbling notes and sizing each other up like predators. You hear the rustle of papers, the clink of coffee cups, and the smug chuckles of those who think they've already sealed the deal. The room's a pressure cooker, every glance loaded, every whisper a calculation. You can almost taste the ambition, the hunger for power, the thrill of being in the place where history gets made. But then, like a bolt from the blue, a name nobody expected cuts through the speakers. Ibrahim Traoré, the 35-year-old president of Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso, a tiny West African nation with a GDP smaller than a summer blockbuster's budget. Half the room doesn't even know where it is. Some probably think it's a made-up place. "Who's this guy?" a German investor mutters, squinting, flipping through the guest list like he's checking for a typo. "Bet he's here to beg for aid." An American CEO snickers, leaning back with a sip of coffee, dismissing it like it's just another Tuesday. Others swap smirks, their eyes glinting with amusement, thinking Traoré's a nobody who'll vanish in the shadow of the big dogs. They're about to get the shock of their lives. He's here to rewrite how the world sees Africa and maybe even how they see themselves. Traoré's no average Joe. At 35, he's one of the youngest leaders breathing. He grew up in Burkina Faso, where dusty red roads twist through villages and electricity's a pipe dream for most. As a kid, he watched children like Aisha, the 12-year-old, in his story huddle under dim candlelight, reading tattered books with dreams bigger than their world. Those dreams burned into him, fueling a fire that refused to accept the world's verdict that his country was less than. Under his leadership, Burkina Faso has pulled off miracles most called impossible. He nationalized gold mines, making sure the country's wealth flows to its people, not foreign corporations bleeding it dry. He built the nation's first mineral processing plant, a gleaming beacon of independence that says, "We're done being pawns." And when global organizations dangled aid with strings attached, demands that would have chained his country. He slammed the door, choosing the rocky path of betting on his people's grit and potential. His philosophy cuts like a blade. Africa doesn't need pity. We need partners who'll stand eye to eye with us. Now picture the weight on his shoulders as he walked into this summit. The world's staring, smirking, ready to write him off as a small-time player. Back home, his people watched, praying he'd prove the doubters wrong, their hopes riding on every step he took. Critics sneered when he turned down easy aid, saying a nation like Burkina Faso couldn't survive on its own. His advisors warned him Riyadh's a lion's den, don't go in unarmed. But Traoré didn't come to fight skeptics. He came to drag them into a vision bigger than the skyscrapers glinting outside. And what did he bring to pull it off? Not a fat binder stuffed with reports or a screen flashing dry stats. Something that would make the whole room from the crown prince to the billionaire big shots hold their breath and forget their phones. Can you guess what Traoré did to make every jaw in that room hit the floor? Let's jump in right now. The first secret Traoré showed us is dare to shatter stereotypes with self-respect. When he stepped onto the stage, the room fell silent, like it was caught in a trance. No tailored suit, no designer tie. Traoré rocked a traditional Burkina Faso military uniform, clean proud, like he's shouting, "This is who I am, take it or leave it." His presence alone was a statement, but then he pulled out a small, crumpled piece of paper worn like it had been carried close for years. He unfolded it slowly, and the crowd leaned forward, curiosity burning desperate to know what it held. He swept his gaze across the room, locking eyes with tycoons and leaders, his voice steady but piercing. When you think of Africa, what do you see? Poverty, chaos. Or a continent with 1.4 billion young people ready to reshape the world? That question landed like a grenade, its shockwaves rippling through the room. Nobody expected a leader from a tiny nation to throw down a gauntlet like that to a crowd of billionaires. Traoré told the story of Aisha, a 12-year-old girl from Komsilga, a dusty village in Burkina Faso, where life's as tough as the sun-baked earth. Aisha had never seen electricity until Traoré's government brought light with a solar project paid for by hard-won farming reforms they clawed through years of resistance to secure. When that first bulb glowed in her mud-brick home, Aisha stood frozen, her eyes wide like saucers, like she'd just seen magic. Then she whispered, her voice trembling with wonder. "Now I can read my space books at night. I want to be an astronaut." The room was still hanging on every word. Aisha wasn't just a kid. She was a beacon for millions of African children who need just a flicker of opportunity to chase the stars. Traoré paused, letting Aisha's words sink in his eyes, scanning the crowd like he was daring them to feel her dream. He told how Aisha, with no running water or paved roads in her village, would sit under a mango tree every evening devouring a dog-eared book about the cosmos she'd borrowed from a traveling teacher. She'd trace constellations in the dirt with a stick, whispering names like Orion and Cassiopeia, dreaming of the day she'd touch them. That dream, Traoré said, was bigger than any skyscraper in Riyadh. Aisha's story wasn't about a light bulb. It was about a girl daring to dream massive, and a leader saying no to the stereotype that Africa's only good for handouts. Traoré stood tall, his voice booming. "We're not here for your money. We're here to invite you to the African Vision Corridor, a network of railways, internet, and power linking 20 countries for $1.5 billion. The room erupted in murmurs. A London CEO muttered to a colleague, "Is he for real? $1.5 billion. A Swiss investor scribbled furiously like he'd stumbled on a gold mine. A Dubai tycoon leaned forward, his smirk fading, replaced by a flicker of respect. But Traoré didn't waver. He was dismantling stereotypes word by word, each sentence a sledgehammer smashing the wall between Africa and the world. In America, I think of Oprah Winfrey. She grew up in crushing poverty in Mississippi, facing stereotypes because of her race and roots. People told her she'd never make it, that she didn't belong in the spotlight. But Oprah said no to those sneering looks, clawing her way to a media empire that inspires millions across the globe. Her self-respect was her shield, her courage, her sword. Traore's wielding the same weapons his pride cuts deeper than any PowerPoint slide ever could. Picture yourself in that room feeling the weight of Traore's words crash over you like a wave. Did Aisha's dream give you goosebumps? That's the raw power of self-respect, of standing tall before the world and refusing to be small. The takeaway. Don't let stereotypes box you in. Stand proud. Break them down and open doors nobody saw coming, just like Traore did. But Traore didn't stop at defying stereotypes. His second secret made even Crown Prince Mohammed sit up, eyes locked on him. Curiosity burning, want to know what it was. Let's roll on. The second secret is build the future through equal partnership. Traore didn't stretch out his hand for a check from Crown Prince Mohammed. He offered a fearless invitation, like he was talking to a peer. Join us in building the African Vision Corridor. Not out of pity, but because this is a chance for the world to thrive together. This project isn't just about laying down roads or stringing up cables. It's a sprawling network knitting together 20 countries from East Africa's bustling ports to West Africa's endless fields, delivering power internet and opportunity to millions of young people starving for a shot to change their lives. Traore stood on stage, his voice weaving like a master storyteller, rising and falling with passion. Africa has the world's youngest population, 70% under 30. We've got fertile land, untapped resources, and a fire that won't quit. You've got capital and tech. Let's partner, not patronize. The room started to shift like a tide turning. Skeptical glances softened into curiosity. A Singapore investor whispered to a colleague, "This could outshine AI." A Swedish CEO fired off a text to their team, "Get on this now." A Dubai tycoon leaned back, his earlier smirk gone, replaced by a thoughtful nod. Traore knew charity might build a school, but equal partnership could build a continent. He didn't want Saudi Arabia to play savior, tossing crumbs. He wanted them as a teammate, forging a new century alongside Africa, where everyone's got skin in the game. Imagine you're a billionaire in that room. At first, you laughed off Traore, thinking he's some dreamer from a nowhere land. But now you're bolt upright, your mind racing. Is this the biggest deal I've ever slept on? You're not just hearing a pitch. You're feeling the pull of a movement, a chance to be part of something historic. Traore's words weren't just a proposal, they were a wake-up call. He painted a picture of an Africa where young entrepreneurs in Nairobi launch startups that rival Google, where farmers in Senegal use solar-powered tech to feed millions, where kids in Lagos code apps that change the world. He wasn't asking for a favor, he was offering a seat at the table for the future. In America, I think of Habitat for Humanity. They don't just hand out free houses, they invite families to swing a hammer, pour their sweat, and build their own home. The result's not just shelter, but pride. I earned this. Traore's doing that for a whole continent, demanding respect, not sympathy. Or take the story of the Apollo program. When NASA teamed up with private companies in the 1960s, it wasn't a one-way street. Both sides brought their best engineers, innovators, dreamers, and together they landed humans on the moon. That's the kind of partnership Traore's pushing for, where everyone's all in, no one's just a donor. Think about your own life for a moment. Have you ever teamed up with someone where you're both equals, building something bigger than either of you could, alone? Maybe it was a group project that crushed it, a business venture that took off, or even a friendship where you lift each other up. That's the magic of partnership. And Traore brought it to Riyadh, forcing even the most powerful tycoons to rethink their game. The lesson: don't go after handouts or sympathy. Forge ties where you're valued and build something lasting together. Equal partnership beats charity every time because it's built on respect and shared dreams. Traore's final secret is what had the whole room on their feet clapping like their lives depended on it, ready to hear it. Let's dive in. The third secret: paint a dream bigger than yourself. Traore didn't just talk about Burkina Faso or the Vision Corridor. He painted a vivid, jaw-dropping picture of Africa 50 years from now, a continent leading the charge in tech education and innovation, a global powerhouse where dreams know no limits. He locked eyes with Crown Prince Mohammed, his voice brimming with passion, each word landing like a spark. This corridor isn't just our project. It's a chance for Saudi Arabia to bridge continents and be carved into history forever. Then he held up that crumpled piece of paper, and the room held its breath, every eye glued to his hand. It was Aisha's drawing, a spaceship soaring through a sea of stars, scribbled with a pencil, but bursting with hope. "This girl wants to go to Mars," he said, his voice low but magnetic, like he was pulling the crowd into her dream. "And I believe one day Africa will get humanity there." The room went dead silent, like time itself hit pause. Nobody expected a leader from a small nation to dream that colossal. But Traore's vision was like a lightning bolt. It hit everyone from billionaires to leaders, making them want to jump in and be part of it. Traore wasn't just pitching railways or internet. He was talking about an Africa where kids like Aisha don't just read about space, they design spaceships that break the atmosphere. An Africa where cities like Lagos and Nairobi outshine Silicon Valley, buzzing with startups and skyscrapers of their own. An Africa where 1.4 billion young people aren't just surviving. They're driving the world's future, coding the next big app, curing diseases, building a new era. He spoke of universities rising in the Sahara where students from across the globe flock to study. He described solar farms stretching across West Africa, powering entire regions and selling energy to Europe. He envisioned high-speed trains zipping from Dakar to Djibouti, carrying goods, ideas, and dreams across a continent united like never before. Imagine you're in that room, hearing Traore's voice weave this tapestry of a future so bright, it almost hurts to look at. Does your heart pound? Do you feel a shiver down your spine? That's the power of a big dream. It doesn't just shift how you see the world, it rewires your soul. In America, I think of John F. Kennedy. In 1961, he stood before the world and vowed to land a man on the moon, even though the tech was years behind. That dream wasn't just his, it lit a fire under a generation, convincing millions that no goal's too big. Traore's doing the same for Africa, and the world's all ears hanging on every word. Or think of Steve Jobs. When he dreamed up the iPhone, people said a phone couldn't be a computer, a camera, and a music player all in one. But Jobs saw a future where tech fits in your pocket and connects the world. His dream wasn't just for Apple, it changed how we live, work, and dream. Traore's vision carries that same kind of world-shaking weight. The lesson: don't settle for small dreams. Paint a vision so massive it reshapes reality and rally others to bring it to life. A big dream isn't a goal, it's a flame that sets everyone ablaze. The next moment is when that vision roared to life. Want to know what Crown Prince Mohammed did to make the world sit up and take notice? Let's see. Picture the conference room exploding with energy, like the air's crackling with 1,000 volts. Traore steps off the stage, strides straight to Crown Prince Mohammed's table, no hint of doubt in his step. He places Aisha's drawing down, locks eyes with him, and says, "Your Highness, this is the future. Not money, not power, but dreams like Aisha's that'll take us to the stars." The room's stunned, frozen like a snapshot. Nobody talks to the Crown Prince like that, like they're equals standing on the same ground. A few delegates fumble for their phones, hands trembling, recording like they're capturing a moment that'll echo through history. A Korean investor whispers to a colleague, "This is unreal. I've never seen anything like it." Crown Prince Mohammed sits still for a beat, his gaze boring into Traore like he's weighing the fate of nations. The room holds its breath, every heart pounding, waiting for what comes next. Then he rises, clapping slowly, each clap ringing like a gunshot. The entire room surges to its feet, applause roaring through the hall like a tidal wave shaking the walls. He speaks, his voice deep and commanding, cutting through the noise. Saudi Arabia pledges $1 billion to the African Vision Corridor. But more than that, we want to stand with Africa to build a bold future where every dream can come true. The room loses it. Delegates lock eyes, jaws dropped like they just witnessed the birth of a new era. An American CEO shakes his head, grinning in disbelief. I was so wrong about this guy, completely wrong. A Dubai tycoon claps furiously, his earlier smirk replaced by respect. A Japanese investor leans forward, muttering, "This changes everything." The energy's wild, like the crowd's been hit with a bolt of lightning, realizing they're part of something historic. The news spreads like a wildfire on steroids. Within hours, African stock markets rocket up 7%, like the whole continent got a shot of adrenaline. On social media, TraoreRiyadh storms the globe, trending in every corner of the internet. Young Africans flood platforms with clips of his speech captioning, "This is our hero." Teens in Nairobi post. TikToks reenacting his words. Kids in Lagos tweet, "Traore's showing us what's possible." Leaders from Nigeria, Kenya, and Ethiopia scramble to call itching to join the project, their voices buzzing with excitement. Even billionaires from America and Europe who once saw Africa as a charity case now see it as a powerhouse partner, a gold mine of opportunity they can't afford to miss. The African Vision Corridor isn't just a project, it's a symbol of a new Africa where dreams aren't shackled by stereotypes or poverty. It's a declaration that this continent isn't just rising, it's leading. But what gives me goosebumps is Aisha's story. That 12-year-old girl, dreaming of being an astronaut in a village with no lights, became a spark that set a continent ablaze. Can you wrap your head around it? A kid from a speck of a place in Burkina Faso, shifting how the world sees what's possible. Traore told the room how Aisha now walks 2 miles each day to a makeshift school, clutching her spacebook like it's a treasure. She's teaching her younger siblings about planets, drawing Saturn's rings in the dirt, telling them, "One day we'll see them up close." Her dream's not just hers, it's a fire catching on, inspiring kids across her village to dream bigger than ever before. In America, I think of a school in Chicago where teachers and kids built a community garden together. They didn't wait for grants or handouts. They rolled up their sleeves, dug in, and made it happen. Now the whole neighborhood beams with pride over that garden, a living symbol of hope and hustle. Or take Rwanda, where President Paul Kagame turned a nation ripped apart by genocide into Africa's tech hub. Kigali's now the Silicon Valley of Africa, buzzing with sleek buildings, bold startups, and a spirit that says, "We're not just surviving, we're thriving." Another American story hits home. Rosa Parks. In 1955, she refused to give up her bus seat in Montgomery, Alabama, saying no to the stereotypes of her time. That small act wasn't just for her, it sparked the civil rights movement, rewriting history. Traore's vision carries that same kind of earth-shaking fire. Or think of Elon Musk. When he launched SpaceX, people laughed at his dream of colonizing Mars, calling it a pipe dream. But Musk painted a future where humans live across planets, and now NASA and investors are all in rockets launching with his name on them. His big dream, like Traore's, isn't just for him, it's for humanity. These stories scream one truth. When you chase your dreams with everything you've got, the world falls in line behind you. Traore's not just a leader. He's a beacon of courage, of daring to dream massive and make it real, no matter the odds stacked against him. His story's a wake-up call, not just for Africa, but for anyone who's ever been told their dreams are too big, their starting point too small. His journey in Riyadh hands us 3 lessons to live by. First, shatter stereotypes with self-respect, and you'll open doors nobody thought existed no matter what the world throws at you. Second, equal partnership builds value that lasts because it's rooted in pride and mutual respect, not pity. Third, a big dream can change the world if you dare to paint it and pull others into its light. Imagine a world where every Aisha can shoot for the stars, where every small nation has a megaphone, and every dream gets a fighting chance to become reality. Now let's get personal. What do you think? Can a big dream flip your life upside down? Pause for a moment and dig deep. What's holding you back from dreaming? Massive. Is it fear of failure? People's doubts? Money time? Who's the Aisha in your world? Someone who needs just a spark to shine. Maybe it's a friend, a sibling, a kid in your community, or maybe it's you. And what's the one step you'll take today to make your dream or theirs real? Drop a comment below. Share the most inspiring story. You know, maybe it's about you, someone you love, or a stranger who made you believe the sky's the limit. Your story could light a fire for someone else watching this. If you're hooked on stories like this, smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss a drop. The next video is going to be even wilder. I swear you'll dive into Aisha's journey and how her dream rippled across the world, inspiring millions. Don't miss it. Thanks for watching, and let's keep spreading the vibe of dreaming big and never backing down. Want to know how Aisha's dream pushed Africa to new heights? Stick around for the next video. It's gonna blow your mind.